Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Nancy Drew Mobile Mysteries Shadow Ranch. In this video, I think we are actually going to reach the end of Chapter 1. Our heroes have just been on a fantastic cookout, and now they're going to return to the ranch. The guests assemble by the back of the wagon for the ride back to the ranch house. As they start to clamber in, the draft horses suddenly lift their heads. Their attention focused on the dark desert beyond them, they begin to whinny. Then one of them starts to prance nervously, causing the wagon to lurch forward. "Whoa there!" Dave, already aboard, gives the long reins a tug. "What's the matter with you fellas?" "Shh! Listen!" Dallas suddenly hisses. Everyone falls silent. The night has become oddly still. "Hear how quiet it is all of a sudden?" he finally whispers. "Even the crickets have stopped." Unnerved, the guests start looking around. A sudden gust of wind buffets the wagon, sending straw whirling through the air, causing the horses to spring forward once more. "What's going on?" Beth shouts. "Why are the horses acting so strangely?" "I'll tell you what's happening," Shorty says grimly. All eyes turn towards him. "It's the ghost of Dirk Valentine's horse." "Here we go again," George murmurs to Nancy, rolling her eyes. "Ghost?" Jamie asks breathlessly. The guests look at each other. Some are fearful, some are intrigued, but all are eager to hear more. Only after they've climbed into the wagon and taken their seats does Shorty continue. "Dirk Valentine was an outlaw who terrorized these parts back in the 1880s, he recounts as the wagon begins its journey back to the ranch house. "He robbed banks, ambushed ore wagons, held up stagecoaches, till finally they caught him." Suddenly, Suzanne jumps in, her eyes glowing with excitement. "Wait, I've read all about him. He was caught only after he fell in love with the sheriff's daughter, Frances Humber. In fact, she and the sheriff lived here at Shadow Ranch back when it was just a house and a couple outbuildings. Anyway, legend has it that Dirk had acquired some extremely valuable gift for Frances. Only Sheriff Humber captured him before he could give it to her. Dirk went to jail, and a week after that, he was hanged." Suzanne pauses dramatically. Her heart broken, Frances left Shadow Ranch that very day. Her father never heard from her again, and that broke his heart. Her voice quivers, and her eyes fill with tears. "I'm sorry. Their story never fails to make me cry." Irritated by the interruption, Shorty clears his throat. "What I was getting at, Dirk's horse was real special to him because he bred it and trained it all by himself. Dirk was the only rider that horse ever knew, so when old Dirk got himself hanged, his horse just up and died too from pure grief. Legend is that ghost horse has been roaming the desert ever since, looking for his master, and whoever sees him is doomed." The guests look at each other in silence. "Good thing we didn't see it," Bess offers hopefully. "I mean, no one actually saw anything, right?" The group mumbles in agreement. "I ain't so sure that makes me feel a whole heck of a lot better," Shorty says. "Right about now might be the best time to call it a night." Suddenly, there's a huge rustling nearby. A shrieking dark shape leaps out from the brush and jumps directly in front of the wagon. Terrified, the horses pitch sideways, causing the wagon behind it to lurch upwards, throwing its occupants from their seats. Distracted by Shorty's tail, Dave is caught off guard and falls backwards. The reins fly out of his hands and the frightened horses take off at a gallop. That is the sound of galloping. The wagon tips precariously as it careens through the darkness behind the runaway team. A violent bounce sends Dave rolling over the side. He catches himself at the last minute, but as he struggles to pull himself back into the wagon, the flapping reins start to slip out of the driver's box. What do you do? Should Nancy grab Dave or grab the reins? If you try to grab Dave, the entire wagon is going to tip over and everybody will fall out. But if you grab the reins, nobody's going to fall out, so grab the reins. Reaching desperately over the seat, Nancy manages to grab the reins before they fall over the edge. She immediately pulls back on them, shouting, "Whoa! Whoa!" As the horses start to slow, Dave's hand reaches towards Nancy's, and he takes the reins as he climbs back aboard. "Whoa there! Whoa! Whoa!" Soon the horses are trotting, and finally they settle into a walk. Dave pulls them to a stop and turns around. "We still got everybody?" Uncle Ed, catching his breath, looks around at his guests. "Everybody's okay. Can't say the same for my telescope, though." He picks up several pieces of shattered lens and regards them ruefully. "What happened?" Jamie asks, still getting over her fear. "Oh, that was a girl. I thought that was a guy. Something spooked the horses," Dave replied. "A javelina, I think." He clicks to the team. The wagon lurches into motion once again. "It's just going to be one misfortune after another now," Shorty says ominously, holding tight to his guitar case. "We'd all better get used to it." Back at the ranch, the guests waste no time retreating to the safety of their rooms. The close call on the ride home was more than enough excitement for everyone. Sounds like the perfect time to call it a night. "We should get to bed too," George announces. "Big day tomorrow." "I don't know if I'll ever sleep again," Beth says, worried. "I'm really spooked." "She says that now," laughs George. "She'll be out like a light in half a minute." "Good night, you two," Nancy says, stifling a yawn. "See you bright and early." Nancy walks down the hallway to her room. It's small and rustic, but downright cozy. Vibrant landscapes in shades of turquoise, which is a bluish-green color. Vibrant landscapes and shades of turquoise and yellow hang on the walls, and small keepsakes from long ago line the shelves. "I could get used to this place," Nancy thinks to herself, before turning off the light and drifting off to sleep. A gritty wind blows across the darkened ranch, making the beams and planks of the old house groan and shudder with each gust. Clouds gliding across the moon throw strange shadows that shift uneasily in the night. Small dark creatures scuttle across jagged rocks, just out of sight. Back in her room, Nancy sleeps fitfully. Dreams of a spectral cowboy endlessly chasing a bright white horse with eyes like flames trouble her sleep. Suddenly, a loud low thud rumbles across the ranch, shaking the walls of the bedroom. Nancy's eyes snap open. She surveys the room, her heart pounding wildly. What had seemed so warm and comfortable earlier is now menacing and cold in the dead of night. Cautiously, Nancy steps out of bed towards the window. Outside, the world is still and calm. Must have just been my imagination. As she slips back under the covers, a low, eerie whistle drifts into the room. Now that is definitely not my imagination, Nancy thinks, as she cautiously steps back to the window and peeks outside. She scans the ranch grounds. Suddenly, the lights of the pump house flare on. "Someone's out there," she says to herself. She slides on her shoes and sneaks down the hall, careful not to wake any of the sleeping guests. Outside, Nancy creeps towards the pump house. As she closes in, a strong gust of wind blows, and the boards of the pump house groan. Let's do that sound effect again. Without warning, the light blinks off, plunging Nancy into darkness. She hears another, louder crash, followed by rapid footsteps. Nancy catches a blur out of the corner of her eye. Before she can turn around, she feels a clammy hand close fast around her wrist. Nancy lets out a startled scream. "Ah!" Is this the end for Nancy Drew? Will she come face to face with the dreaded ghost horse of Dirk Valentine? And who is hiding what in Miller's Cave? The answers to these questions and more are found in the next chapter, Kidnapped!